All right, welcome everybody to our Developer Dynasty tonight. Today for Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2021. We started this last week, kind of taking an overall big picture look at a lot of the things that the team has been working on. And tonight, as we talked about with our basketball stream this week, we're going to shorten the streams down now to about 30 minutes for each stream and try to kind of stay focused on one or two areas. Feel free to, as you can see, use the chat box to bring up any questions or suggestions you have for the developers. The development team is here with us. Brooks and Asgar are both stopping on the chat tonight. You guys want to say hi?
Hi. Hey, guys.
So you have all of the entire football team with you again tonight, just like we did last week. And we've got a couple of interesting things that we've worked on over the course of the week that we're going to debut tonight. I want to thank everybody who is a subscriber to our channel. If you don't know what that does for us, it is a small financial benefit to help the company support the channel. If you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free Twitch Prime account, and that has a free subscription option to one Twitch channel. So if you wanted to use that for us, we would certainly appreciate that. And we absolutely appreciate everybody else who has been able to have the ability to subscribe to the channel. We have our follower list is growing. We have some new followers today and yesterday. So thank you for that. Make sure that you're following and have notifications enabled so that when we go live, we've been trying to do one stream for both of our pro football and pro basketball 2021 games a week for the last 2 weeks. Basketball has been on Tuesday, and football we've been going on Friday. So we're going to get started here. And again, if you have anything that you want to comment on that we're talking about, throw it in the chat box. Suggestions, things that we can get to later on, you can throw those in the box too. And Brooks or Asger can certainly answer any of your questions. We're going to start by looking at some of the work that Brooks has put in on the player cards. One of the things that we have the ability to do with this new platform is to really be more visual with things in terms of charts, graphs, things like that. And it really provides a much better experience. It just everything looks more modern and flows better. And we want to show off some of that. But before we get to that, we can take a question from Berserk62. Will we have an expanded box score? Do you guys need a little bit more clarity on that, or can we answer that one?
I've heard this request. I haven't looked into specifics around what kinds of information they'd like to see. But certainly, we track quite a few stats in the game, and then if there's a particular stat or particular metric that we're missing or that shows up elsewhere and just doesn't show up on the box score, then let us know. The box score has been kind of a static thing in the game for many years now, so we could certainly go back and tweak that if we need to. But yeah, other than that, any recommendations or requests, we can certainly take a look at.
Yep. So we've I pulled up a quick box score here. So Berserk, if you or anybody else has specifics that you want to throw out here for the team to note, so they can take a look. Like Brooks said, there's a ton of data that's being captured, and we certainly can look to expand this if you give us a little bit of direction on how you'd like to see things there to expand the box score. And I mean, really, that's really the biggest plus to doing these streams is that we want to get with you guys and get specific feedback about what you want, and we'll do our very best to work it into the design of the game if at all possible. So feel free to either put that in the chat box what you're looking for, or you can send us a message through our support system or through Slack or we have so many channels that there's plenty of ways to get a hold of us. So looking at the player card here, we've got very similar to uh, the pro basketball one. We've got the team logo, the player information, stats relevant to that player's position. Very easy to read and look at, the ratings here on the charts as they spread out, and you can quickly see just by the length of the bar how good players are at things. We've got a player bio section, and as we go through any of these, I remind you all that this is a work in process. You're seeing alpha screens, betas, whatever you want to call it. So, if you see something, we have room on this screen for more information. If there's something you'd like displayed, make sure you throw that out there, and we'll see what we can add, because that is one thing we talked about last week on the stream. The blessing of space and size with this new platform, that we're not constrained as we used to be by certain areas that were, we crammed as much info as we could into them, but we had a lot of other little things showing, and we've done away with a lot of those things to open up a ton of real estate. So we can definitely display more of the data there. Let's see, some of the suggestions coming in for that expanded box score. And instead of a top 10 listing of stats, can we see the whole league and where teams rank? I guess that's not regard to the box score. Brooks, can we?
Yeah, right now we have the league leaders page, which has the top 10 for different players, and then you can bounce into team stats, which shows all the different team stats and how they fall. I'm not
Yes.
sure where else to take that one.
Okay.
So Berserk, if you when you're on the top 10 listings, if you just click regular season, you'll get all the players and all the teams. So it's already in the 2020 game, if that's what you're missing. It's just that when you click statistics, it defaults to the top 10s, but then you can click regular season and it'll show everything.
Yeah, we've added targets and catches allowed in certain places. We'll have to make sure that we add those to all the stat screens. And now that we have a little bit more horizontal real estate on the screens, we can make sure that we're adding those in for the different team stats and things like that. But I'm pretty sure those two stats are already available. But if not, I'll add it to my list to double check. It could be something that we put in a college game and haven't ported back to pro, or vice versa. The other question is making the play call screen between plays optional. Sucks for those of us in sim leagues, online leagues. I'm not sure what the ask is there. I think I understand what you're saying. So when you're watching the replays, you don't want the play calling screen flipping up in between the different plays. That's a good idea. To be able to watch a replay without going back and forth between the game screen and the field. I think we have some flexibility now with how that screen is set up, that we have a little bit more real estate. You can still see the screen, so I believe we'll be able to put more information around the field. I'm sure once Gary works his magic and lays that screen out real well, then we should be able to allow you to stay on that one screen and watch the replay without having it flip back and forth. So thanks for reminding me about that one. That's a good ask.
Yep, and then even with the new 2D field, without having to go full screen to watch the game, that could be something that is possible too. They don't even have to pop off of the screen to keep going back and forth. This is something, if we had time tonight, I wanted to get to and talk a little bit about what people would like to see on the screen, because obviously this is a very rough layout of it just to make sure it works, and I'm going to be getting into it shortly. So we want to make sure that we're getting all the information that people want to see there. I want to go back to the player card a little bit here and look at some more of the options. One of the interesting things that I thought that came in, I think it was last year's version, is the player analysis. I don't know if I think sometimes information that we have on the player cards in basketball, especially some people don't kind of dig deep enough and look at some of the great breakdowns that there are. This is one of the ones I think is useful here. Being able to show where the quarterback is throwing, how how successful he is at throwing those particular passes and touchdowns, interceptions, things like that. So that's a really nice breakdown analysis that's on the player card page, as well as a deep history for the player. And obviously this is just one season in, so we don't have a full ratings progression here, but the ratings progression will be an option here. Let's see, there's a question about the new form. Do we have a dedicated location for career accomplishments? You can either go to history or records, but you really had to look for it. I don't think anything's changed with that yet, right, Brooks?
We're still moving things around. I was able to combine some of the awards that players win into that little award section up there in records. We still have some room on the player bio page where we may be able to move some more stuff around since we have plenty of room now on the screen. So yeah, that obviously things like championships and things like that. I don't know. Gary may want to be able to put some more stuff up in the header or little badges or whatever if they win championships and things like that would be a way to highlight those kinds of things. There's another question there about coverage stats for DBs and LBs. Since you brought up the analysis page, right now the analysis page covers quarterbacks and it covers defenders. So that's another good way of taking a look at defensive analysis. But it's definitely something that we can expand. We can add more specifics around this. I'm not sure if this is what Berserk had in mind, or if you're looking for something a little bit different, let us know. But this is available in 2020. It'll also be upgraded for 2021.
Well, I like how on the analysis page, I pulled up a cornerback here, you can kind of take off certain ones that there's a lot of data on that screen there. So if you just want to look at missed tackles, you can click on it and see just that. So I think that's part of the flexibility of this platform. It's so easy to maneuver different stats and different things on and off that really, if you guys out there have can imagine something or see something on another whether it's TV or a website or something like that you follow that you really like is a descriptive way of looking at something, let us know about it, and we can we can do so much more now than before, that we can really use the AU platform that we're on to bring a lot of these things to very vivid life for you guys to look at. And one of the things.
So Berserk.
Go ahead, Brooks. Sorry.
Sorry. The game does not track blown coverages as a specific stat. To be honest, the engine doesn't really know, because it all depends on player placement and where they are in the field at a given point in time and who they're supposed to be covering and that kind of thing. It doesn't actually check whether or not they blew a coverage per se. And Noah's asking about sorting history. So most of the grids I'm trying to set up as being sortable, but any of the statistics that we track that are more text-based are not going to work as well for sorting. But we can certainly keep an eye on that and make sure that we're sorting where it's possible and where it makes sense.
It could also be something that if it's like a toggle thing that we could do if they're talking about looking at the history and they want to see, or awards, turn off certain things, only see times they won player of the game, things like that. We can do, so many of those types of things. And I wanted to pull up something from Pro Basketball 21. We'll switch over just for a second here. Some of the charts that we use, the bubble charts, obviously these are pertaining to basketball things, a lot of the metrics there, but I mean, all of these things that we never could introduce before. If there's charts out there, there's graphs out there, there's visuals out there that you like and you find useful, especially as the heart of our game is statistics. And as that side of basketball and football have grown, there's been so many different types of analysis and different stats and things like that we love to be able to implement things like that into the game. So if you have something that you really like and it's something that you find useful for thinking about pro football, or if you're fantasy guy or whatever, and you think you would like to see that in the game, send it our way and we can take a look and see if we can get it into the game, because we can do so many charts and graphs and different visuals now. I want to thank we got a couple of new followers just during this stream, so thank you guys for stepping up and following us. One other thing that I talked to Brooks about that he had added in here is expanding the edit player a little bit. We're working on this screen still as we go here, but just from the player card, an easy click to be able to edit a player. The flags and traits, have Brooks talk about this just in a second, but this is in here as an editable option now. So Brooks, you want to, for people who aren't familiar with what these do in the game, or are new to the game, you want to kind of explain what the flags and traits do?
Yeah, the flags have been something that have been added over the years, and they get assigned when a player gets created. They're kind of like an RPG element almost when we were creating our players. But a lot of people who are trying to either recreate historical rosters or bring forward college kids and want to give them the trait they had in college or whatever, have been asking to be able to actually edit these. So we'll go ahead and add it to the edit form. Now we got a lot more room. The other thing that we went ahead and did on this is opened up all the position skills to be able to be edited at this point, because in the current game, there's not enough real estate for all of that. So pretty much anything that we can edit for a player, we're trying to get put on this form so that you guys can tweak to your heart's content.
And you can change the the appearance of the players here, and the facial structures, anything that you want to do to customize. That's really a hallmark of our games, especially with the football games. They offer you so many opportunities to customize things exactly the way you want them. Let's see. Why guess a beta release? We don't have anything announced yet, but we want to get to beta as quickly as possible, because obviously the more people that have an opportunity to get their hands on the game, the easier it is to kind of do the final the final cleanup of the game. For people who are new to Wolverine Studios, what we do is we offer a program we call First Access, and that gives people an opportunity to pre-order the game at there's a discount coupon code that goes along with that. If you are a returning customer from and you bought the game from us, not from Steam or other places like that, if you bought it from us, we always try to give those returning customers a little extra incentive and discount to purchase the First Access version of the game. And when you do that, you get your license code right away, and we give you beta copies to play up through the actual release of the game. So if you know that this is going to be the game for you, and you want to get in as soon as possible, be watching for when we do announce that the First Access version is available. And absolutely. I appreciate that comment. Oh, hi, Mark. That we take feedback very well, and that's very, very important to us, because that's how the games get better. That's why we're doing this. As we're taking a half hour out tonight to kind of show you guys some things and listen to your feedback and see, what you're looking for, what you like, what you don't like. It's okay if you don't like something. It's not the end of the world for us, and we're certainly not going to get our feelings hurt. We're going to do everything we can to make the game better for you guys. There's a question from Rodeo Brando. Goal line package added to playbook this year. Brooks, is that on the docket?
So we have formations and we have scenarios, and you have packages that you can run in different scenarios, and goal line is one of the scenarios. So that should be supported already. You'd basically set up a particular package that you wanted, and then you'd be able to swap it out in this particular scenario, and that would be your goal line. So hi Mark, asking about customizations of playoffs and leagues and an easy to use creation roster and draft class suite. So I mean, unfortunately, we're not OOTP, and we don't have the customization built up in the game enough to be able to do fully customized playoffs and basically any, fully customized leagues. So typically the way we've done it is we've tried to provide, 36 or so different league formats that cover most of the NFL history since 1960 or whatever, so that people could pick a league format that matches whatever point in time they're trying to recreate. And then we have, obviously a bunch of other custom leagues that folks have created over the years or requested from me over the years to cover common online style leagues. So most of those are all still there. We haven't really removed any. We're still not able to do a fully custom pick anything you want kind of deal at the moment. Now, customization of playoffs is a little bit different. We are looking at options there as far as allowing people to pick which playoff option that they want. We have 4 in the game now. You have a 4-team, an 8-team, an 18 plus 2 wild card, and an 8-team plus 4 wild card in a game right now. So we'll definitely figure out a way to make it where you can switch to a different format if you want for playoffs. As far as adding additional playoff formats, I'd like to get a larger one in. I know some of the larger leagues would like to be able to get more teams into the playoffs for those people running 36, 42, 66 team leagues. So we can certainly look at that. It's on my list. And we will be working with the community again to help us build out a custom or a roster with as up to date as possible players for the 2021 season. It's going to be really difficult this year because of COVID and all that stuff. I have no idea how that's going to affect the real NFL rosters and transactions and things, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll definitely be working on that as time goes on. And next question, Berserk. Could we globally set teams pass the ball on 3rd and 5 more often? So there are ratios already set in the game. Usually people who have that particular scenario will just crank that all the way to 100 or 0. I don't remember off the top of my head which way you're supposed to go, but they'll crank the passing up to max in that particular scenario. But just like real life, there is no absolute 100%, right? We still code the game to be in line with pro football norms. So even pro football teams don't pass 100% in any scenario. There's always, wrinkles and teams throwing different plays in just to try and keep the other teams off balance. So we'll never get it to a point where we allow 100% unless you're willing to go into the to the advanced options where it does allow you to tweak more of those and get closer to 80% or 90% versus the typical 70-30 split. So we'll be reevaluating that, and we look at it every year, and we'll continue to look at it to give more control to the players. At the same time, we're working on coaches. So if we want to make the coaches better and the coaches smarter and more realistic, we can't very well make the AI do something that goes against what the coach's setup is configured as. So we want to make sure we're balancing people playing the game versus people using coaches and wanting, if they hire a coach that does X, they want to make sure that the play calling matches X. And it wouldn't make sense to hire a coach that ran one way and then constantly setting up the playbook to run something else. The AI would be confused as well as the results wouldn't necessarily be predictable. So we'll continue to monitor that.
Just a quick Wishbone on customization too, before we get too far from that. That's something that we want to offer you guys, as much as we can. But I don't think that any of the games will ever go down the path where you can have a 61 team league and have 37 teams in the playoffs. There comes a point where it's the whole world is too customizable, and it's not going to have seven different leagues running around the world and stuff like that. It's going to be, we want to be focused, give you choices and give you some freedoms in how you want to play, but I don't think we'll ever open it up to a total customization. It's just too much that can go on, and it's too overwhelming for people if there's too many choices as well.
So, hi, Mark also asked about the Wishbone. One of the things I'm toying with is adding it in, but then possibly creating some options in our settings pages for commissioners to turn on or off different formations. So in some cases, the Wishbone was prevalent, and they want to be able to run it because it'd be an interesting formation to run. But in other leagues, they might decide that it's not for them, and they don't want people running it, so they would just turn that one off. So that might be one way that we can sneak in a couple of these I'm going to say fringe formations where we get kind of mixed feedback on whether or not we should add them. Narlins is asking about inclement weather fields. Yeah, we actually have them. That was something that I'd been working on before, and I don't know if they just didn't make it in or if they're stuck in college limbo and they haven't made it over to pro. But yeah, we have them. I'll add it to my list to make sure I go back and put those in the right way.
I thought I've seen them in here while I was looking at some of the games, so that might already be there.
Well, we have rain and a snowy field for sure, but there are a couple other layers that one of our community members has helped me with in the past, where it's actually should be like a muddy field and things like that. So there were supposed to be multiple layers, and if it's not there already, I need to double check that and make sure I get those put in. So I'll add that to my list. And then, so Berserk wants the teams to throw it at a higher rate. So there's a configuration option in the game right now where you can change the overall run-pass ratios. So there are a couple of different settings that you can change related to that to either get them to throw more overall or to run more overall. And then there are additional settings in there where you can actually increase the effectiveness of said run and pass plays. So if you need to crank the yards up versus just the ratios, those are all in advanced settings right now. Declining penalties. That one. So the way the engine works now is you only get penalties that technically were accepted. So the engine has already evaluated whether or not the penalty should be accepted, and it goes ahead and accepts it for you. And if it deems that you should have declined it, it doesn't even show the penalty. So there's not like an option for penalties to show up where you could decline them. We could possibly look at that, but the way that it's coded into the engine now, that would actually take a fair amount of work. So I can't commit to that for 2021, but I can add it to the list to keep in mind. And danger, no, there's no dark mode skin. I haven't talked to Gary about this much, but this engine does allow for some customizations, and I mean, I suppose it's possible we could add some configuration options for people to flip some of the backgrounds or go into high contrast modes or things like that if they need to. But we'll have to look into that and research it. I don't know if that's something we could put into 2021, but we can add it to the list to see if it's something easy and straightforward. Then I don't think I have a problem with it, but we'll have to evaluate that later.
All right. Well, we have gone even over the 30 minutes that we intended to. We want to keep these short and keep them on target and keep them focused. And we know you have a lot of things to do too. And for the people who want to watch these on replay, we want to make sure that it's in digestible bits. So we're gonna get ready to end the stream tonight. I want to thank. We had a great turnout for this stream. I mean, there's a lot of interest in this game, a lot of interest in what we're doing. I really appreciate all the new followers we got. Make sure you have notifications turned on so that you always know when we're going live. Thank you for our subscribers again. That does help us out when people subscribe to the channel, since we are an affiliate. And we're very excited to keep working on this. And we will hopefully be back sometime next week with another look at kind of what we've been working on, and hopefully getting some more questions. The feedback in this chat was great. We have a great group of people interested in this game, and the questions you bring up, even if it's something that we can't tackle, this particular version is something we can keep in mind for the future as well. So thank you all for showing up tonight, and keep watching us. Keep watching Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. We're all over the place. We want to be as visible as possible, and we absolutely cannot wait to get this game to you. I want to thank Brooks for joining us, Asger as well, and we will see you guys next week with some more screens and some more chat. Well, thank you all for stopping by tonight, and we'll see you next week.